Hello, namaste, and welcome to the 11 Steps to Sirius JoY. I'm Christopher Witecki, your host, your narrator, and the creator to this process that I call the 11 Steps. This process comes from astrology, and it comes with my intention to understand how to build happiness in our life. For centuries, we have been seeking what we call nirvana in Buddhism, our personal happiness and contentment and alignment with the universe and everything. It's been my discovery through astrology, numerology, sacred geometry, and my own psychic awareness that there are 11 steps you can take to begin this process, and there are 12 steps you can honor to continue it. This little episode is going to be the introduction to the 11 steps. I'm going to tell you about my background, how I uncovered this methodology, and give you kind of a scope on how you can apply it to your life. Anyone interested in astrology or numerology will be very interested in this audio series because it provides what I consider a missing link to our interpretation of people's charts and helping people be spiritually coached everywhere. These fundamental steps will help you and everyone and every life you touch. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Let's begin. At the time of this recording, I've been studying astrology for about 25 years. It was introduced to me when I was age 19 by a dear friend, and I was stunned to see how accurate astrology seemed to know me, how well it read into my friends and family. It was so pinpoint accurate, it was almost embarrassing to me at first. So I started doing readings and giving away for free and studying people and starting to put all the parts together. And I read literally thousands of people over the years. And as I read, I found that although astrology was accurate, it seemed to be missing something. It seemed like too much was up to interpretation, that there was more information here, but I just couldn't get to it. The other thing I kind of sensed was an astrology chart would tell you who the soul was. It would tell you where the soul is coming from. But where were we going? Where was I supposed to point the client? Was there a hierarchy in astrology? Was there some sort of nirvana place that I could point them to? And where was it in the chart? So these were the questions that started to form over time. Another aspect was I was doing horoscopes 5 days a week for all 12 signs on YouTube. I did video horoscopes. They were about 3 minutes long. In a printed horoscope on a website, you might write 3 or 4 sentences, but to be able to talk for 3 full minutes every day to every sign and have something new to say was actually really difficult. And on top of that, I noticed that when we were in any given sign, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, etc., they're all the same sign. They basically are the same meaning. And yet from day to day, life would change so much, even when a moon was in the same sign. So basically, I would see life changing so much, but I didn't see the planets moving so fast. And I was wondering, what is it in the planets that makes things change so dramatically from day to day? What I realized is the only thing changing from one day to another was probably 1 degree. The sun would move 1 degree, and the moon would move about 12 degrees. And that's it. That was the difference. The other planets may not even change a degree for a day or two. They certainly weren't changing aspects, and they certainly weren't having huge events like eclipses, but we could have a huge day of drama and yet have no planetary kind of explanation for it. One of the topics I was always interested in at the same time was how everything fit together. I was fascinated. I wanted to translate a planet to a tarot card, to a number, to a crystal, to a color. I felt like spirit probably manifests itself in every form everywhere, and I was very interested in sort of being able to translate one spiritual energy to another. I still am. I find it so fascinating. I was kind of looking for a Rosetta Stone where I could easily go back and forth, and I stumbled upon a Linda Goodman book, and Linda Goodman was definitely one of my heroes growing up. She wrote amazing astrology books, and in this astrology book, I give her full credit. She lists all of the code translations for how planets turn into numbers. She literally decoded astrology and numerology, how the two came together. So I began to see planets and signs as also numbers. And I can recall the day when I was standing in the studio, banging my head against the wall, going, what the hell am I going to talk about next? It feels like I've told them everything already. It feels like I'm repeating myself. God, I need an answer. And suddenly my eyes focused on the degree. I noticed that on that day the sun was at 20 degrees. And then I suddenly remembered, oh, Linda Goodman says 2 is the moon. And then I thought, is it possible that Linda Goodman's number translations apply to the degrees? So I asked myself that question for about 10 years, to be honest with you. I didn't tell anybody what my theory was. I just started watching the planets every day in the horoscopes, watching the degrees, and also analyzing the degrees in people's astrology charts. And when I started to put the degrees together, as in something 20 degrees is step 2, I feel, and something 24 would be I feel and I belong 4, I started to see that indeed there was this extra characteristic to the client's story, that the degrees almost were the missing link. They were providing a whole nother dimension for how things manifest in the final degree. I began to realize that the degrees spell out precisely how the spirit will come at a certain situation. This is why you can have two people of the same sign be totally different, because one person is 1 degree of that sign and another person is another degree. For instance, I'm an 18-degree Taurus, and 18-degree Tauruses are not like 19-degree Tauruses. And what I've realized is it's the 9 and the 8 that they don't have in common. When I applied it to the moon's degrees, I realized this really explained a lot of people's emotional prejudices. A person can have a Leo moon or a Taurus moon or a Gemini moon, but that moon comes with all these prejudices that things are going to turn out a certain way. And I found the degrees explain the client's prejudice. I also realized that the degree explained the moods and the feelings and the cycles of feelings we would go through the day. And with a person's ascendant and their ascendant degree, I realized this reveals a person's intentions. What's the real motive behind that rising sign? So in essence, the degrees explain the root intention of the planets. They explain what the planets are doing in the background, what the character is coming to the story with, and that gives us an ability to predict what they might do. Now, another fascination of mine has been manifestation. I have always been obsessed with how we make things happen in life. How do you turn an idea into the law of attraction? I literally had this sense that there was some sort of ritual we're supposed to do, like a wizard's spell or a witch's spell, or I realized there must be some ancient knowledge of how we bring these things to happen. There must have been some sort of sequence that Jesus went through to log into God universe and do miracles. I figure we have that possibility, right? There must be a way to figure it out, right? And so I started watching how the planets unfold and applying the step numbers just for observation. And as you know, the sun's in Aries, which is step 9. Then the sun goes into Taurus, which is step 10. But then the sun goes into Gemini, and that goes down to step 5. And then the sun goes into Cancer, which means we go down to step 2. And then to Leo, which is down to step 1. Then Virgo way up to 11. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. What is this? Like some sort of spiritual Da Vinci Code? How does God unfold this consciousness? Is this the right order of things? And I began to sense that, no, this is the order in which God sends the energy. If you're going to create energy, if you're going to create consciousness, there is a natural order to that creation. And we all know it, and we've all known it since we were age 3. The natural order is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now 11. This was my big holy shift when I realized, oh my God, of course, consciousness unfolds in the order of numerology, in the sequence of numerology. Consciousness always begins at 0, then we always go to 1, then we always go to 2, and then 3, and so on. And this mathematical truth is true to everyone in the universe. I believe if you hold 2 fingers up to some alien that lands on the planet, he or she will get what you're talking about. 2, yeah, we have 2 in our reality too. So I began to realize that human beings, being one sun sign, like I'm a sun sign Taurus, which is step 10, human beings are very aware of one step in the sequence, but they're likely blind to other steps. And perhaps It is our responsibility to know all the steps to become a fully functional, fully 5D aware human being. So I began to apply the steps in my own life. I began to look at certain problems in my life and see if I was maybe not being aware of one of the steps or not aware of one of the 12 astrology signs. I would have a problem maybe manifesting something in life, and I would look to say, well, maybe I'm missing one of the steps. And I began to do certain experiments, and probably the most profound one was I needed a house that I needed in less than 30 days in Los Angeles, which is pretty much nearly impossible. So I said, what the hell, I'm going to try this 11-step thing. And basically, for 11 straight days, I meditated, actually 12. We'll talk about the hidden step tomorrow. But for 12 days, every day, I applied one of the steps. And I applied this process and held the consciousness. And would you know, I manifested the most perfect house in the most perfect way in 30 days. At that point, I was convinced. Human beings, to come into their enlightenment, must be aware of all 12 steps, all 12 astrology signs in you. You may have your favorite ones, you may be good at other ones, but if you want to law of attract something solid and something whole, then you must be holistically aware of your entire being. And not just holistically aware, but directing each part of your consciousness toward the outcome. All 12 steps: protection, love, feelings, beliefs, and we'll go over them together in the upcoming episodes. Enlightenment, what I realized, is omni-awareness, the ability to harmonize all of our inner voices and point them in the same direction. When we can unite our light and our consciousness inside of us, we will law of attract our equal or greater. Once you are conscious of your 11 steps and your hidden step, you will open the door to your own personal enlightenment, and you will start your journey on the path of what I call Sirius JoY, which is the condition that happens when things start working just because you snapped your fingers. You feel some serious joy. Each step is a piece of your power. Each step is a part of your personality. To know the steps is to know yourself. It's almost like they give you a guideline to make sure you're on target with who you are and who you want to be. The 11 steps of Sirius JoY will tell you what to do and when to do it. And when you use the 11 steps, looking at your actual astrological chart, it'll tell you how to do it. So in the upcoming episodes of this audio series, I'm going to walk you through all the steps. My advice is to not take it any more than one episode per day. That's how God dishes it out. We only move 1 degree a day, only take 1 conscious step a day. If you're a person that wants to manifest something in your life, such as a new job, a house, a lover, or maybe you want to manifest a healing to come out of something you've been stuck in, this is the perfect time to do it. Listen to this audio series, 1 episode a day, and apply the steps. On the 13th day, you will see breakthrough. Now, just so you know, you can't skip any of the steps, and you don't have to do 1 step a day. In fact, a conscious step is determined by when your consciousness really gets it. So when you fully understand the step and you feel like you fully understand it, move on to the next step. Sometimes, in other things that I've manifested, it's taken me up to a week to get over one particular step because I found my soul's having a real hard time getting along with the rest of the inner team. But if you consciously take the steps and you follow through, you will see breakthrough on day 13. And it's been my experience that you will see manifestation by day 40. It takes 40 days to actually see that solid form, and it takes those first 12 days to align the 11 steps. So I look forward to talking with you and working with you to help manifest your peace and happiness. Between now and the next episode, think about one thing your heart would like to manifest. The best way to pick is the one your heart wants the most, because you'll find, as we learn the steps, that having your heart aligned is extremely important. And in our next episode, we're going to discuss the hidden and most mysterious step, Step 0, otherwise known as the Scorpion energy. So who knew that consciousness begins with Scorpio? You'll learn about that and other details in our next episode. All right, my friend, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sharing this with your friends and family who are ready to find their Sirius Joy. For more information about me, you can come to SiriusJoy.tv. Until next episode, remember, I love you and live, love, be.
Live, love, be.